What's up, guys? My name's Matt, and I go by Blind Mechanic, and I wanted to tell you guys my vision story. I was born in Bangladesh, and when I was 3 years old, we moved to the States. And then my parents started realizing that I was looking at things very closely at the age of 3, and I was having some vision issues. So they took me to the doctor, as you do, and they established that I just had bad eyes. So they gave me some really thick glasses, and that was it. That was the end of it for a little while. And then it started getting worse. As I got older, I was starting to have trouble in the night. I was starting to have trouble seeing things directly head on. So I would have to turn and look at things off to the side, and my parents started to notice. So when I was in the fifth grade, they finally found a specialist to check me out for what the heck is going on with my eyes. And they came to the conclusion that I have retinitis pigmentosa, which is a rare eye condition that takes out your rod and cone cells in your eyes. Typically, this condition will give you tunnel vision, and it'll bring in the rods first and then your cones. My condition is a little different. My cones are affected first and then my rods. So I have a blurry, hazy spot in the middle, and my vision also looks like I'm looking through a field of static. And that's how I grew up for a long time. And in my early days of middle school and high school, it was okay. That wasn't too bad. I was able to use some assistive technology and make it by fairly normally. I masked my eye condition. I didn't use a cane. I didn't even like talking about it. That's just how it was. And growing up in an immigrated family, we didn't have a lot of resources on what to do with my eye condition. And I am the only person in my family that has an eye condition. But despite all that, I made it through my school years. And during my school years, I discovered a love for music, and that is what I originally wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be a musician because I knew that if I couldn't see, at least I could hear music. That was a very ambitious goal. And I graduated in 2011 from high school thinking that I was going to do music. And that dream kind of faded a little bit. I still do it, but that's not my main thing. In 2014, I decided I wanted to work on cars. But I was never a kid that grew up working on cars. So for me, getting into cars in 2014 was a huge learning curve. One, I knew nothing about cars, and two, I had an eye condition to battle. And everyone was telling me, don't do this. Don't become a mechanic. No one's going to want to hire you. And I graduated from my VOTEC school in 2016, and I did pretty good. Pretty good in my classes. All the teachers were talking highly of me. And then when I made it out, I decided I was going to just work on cars out of my garage for friends and family, and that was it. That was pretty good the way I had things set up. But then my vision started getting worse. In 2019, I developed some pretty severe cataracts, and I had to have cataract surgery, which was a blessing and a curse. The cataracts cleared up, so I got some of the clearer vision back. But due to the surgery, my eye condition decided it was going to take a very drastic drop, and it got severely worse. So right after 2019, I started to struggle, and I really needed my cane. But I was still masking it. I did not want to accept that I had an eye condition. I didn't want to accept that I needed a cane to travel. And that came with a lot of challenges. I was tripping on things a lot. I had hurt myself tripping on things. I was getting left out of things because people didn't want to bring me because they knew that I was going to be a liability. And that was hard. So I finally, in 2024, decided I was going to start using my cane regularly. And I have. For the last year and a half, I've been using my cane regularly, and now it's a badge of honor. But doing mechanic work does not come easily. That is for sure. And as a blind mechanic, I have to accommodate for myself. I have to figure out different ways of doing things, and it's difficult. But I don't let that get to me, because I like to think of my struggle in a particular way that relates to what I do. When you're working on cars, there's a book that tells you it'll take you X amount of time to do this job. And it's usually true. However, sometimes there's some workarounds that you can do. You can build a tool, you can cut some corners that weren't anticipated in the book, and you can do a job a lot quicker. So that's how I kind of like to think about my eye disease, is you need to figure out a way to do things easier and not just deal with the fact that it is difficult. Saying that everything is difficult is not the right way. So I like to say it's not about what's not easy, it's about figuring out a different way to do it. Right now I'm not currently working as a mechanic, and I'm figuring out what I want to do. I got married last year, and my life is doing pretty good. And one of the ways I'm doing things differently now is I started a TikTok channel. I started a TikTok channel making funny videos and talking about blindness. And I've started to create a little bit of a following on people that can relate. And I have found more people than I could ever think that I would ever find. And that is absolutely amazing. And I would love to keep helping people in their blindness journey, and that helps me in my blindness journey. But my story is not over. It is still writing itself every single day. But as of now, I want to say thank you for watching my story. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you guys later.